Welcome to another episode of the Nothing in Moderation podcast, coming to you live from the multi-million-dollar Nothing in Moderation studios. Fucking Amazon's just, you can't fucking like I ordered the shit to get to take phone calls and stuff, and
right.
Like, it was here like less than 24 hours after I ordered it. You can't really argue with that.
Yeah, until you're spoiled with that, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh man, I really want that, and it's like, what the fuck's it take 2 days for? Is it coming from China?
And I will.
They gotta make it.
I will pay a few dollars more for something to get it on Amazon because I know I can get it faster than other websites.
We ordered, the fuck did we order? We ordered something the other day, and it was Amazon Prime, warehouse stocks, blah, blah, blah. You know, You could only get it through them. I think it was like our CBD gummies or something. You have to buy them through Amazon. They're not available anywhere else. And it said in stock, but when we ordered them, it told us there was a 2-day shipping delay, and then it took like a week to get it. And I was like, but I thought it was in stock.
Yeah.
So is it not in stock, or is it Amazon the jungle?
See, we had that problem at Christmas time. I ordered my niece a sweatshirt that had a corgi printed on the front, but it was a corgi that dressed like Harry Potter.
Right.
And
you're a wizard, corgi.
Yeah. It said it was Prime.
Okay.
And when I bought it, it said shipping was like a week and a half later. Like it showed up like 2 days after Christmas. Like, and I'm just like, I get that it's probably handmade, you know, by somebody with a fucking $200 Cricut and a $8 sweatshirt.
What's a $200 Cricut?
The Cricut is the thing all the middle-aged white ladies that want to speak to the manager use to make T-shirts and put stickers on insulated mugs that they buy from Walmart and sell them as Yetis, but they're actually Ozark Trail
Jetties.
But I know somebody just randomly, because you can do that with Amazon. Like you can sell shit you make. But I just don't. I don't understand why it took 2 weeks to print out a sticker and heat press it onto a Walmart sweatshirt and send it off. Like this shit blows my mind.
You know, it's funny because that timeline concept and the instant gratification that we're so used to. My dad he went to a podiatrist as a specialist, and then he got referred to a custom shoe manufacturer, and then after the custom shoes, they have to make them. So he's got 3 appointments.
Yeah.
And his complaint was the wait time. All right, I want to make an appointment with a podiatrist, but it's 4 to 6 weeks out. Then I see the podiatrist and get a script for the prescription shoes, and it's 4 to 6 weeks out. And then I go to the shoe place, and it takes them 2 weeks to make the shoes. He's like, I don't understand why it takes so long. And I get it. You know, they're the generation where the consumer was instant gratification initially, and we've just been spoiled with it as it's gotten better. But it's like, well, you know, you're not their only customer. And a lot of times that's what we'll see with the okay boomer concept is, well, I don't understand why my shit isn't right now. Well, You weren't the first one here. There's 40 people in front of you, you know, and that's something that as a whole we need to try and reel ourselves in on from the instant gratification that we're so used to is, oh yeah, I'm not the only person.
Yeah.
You know,
the instant gratification thing is what makes life hard, I guess, because like when it comes to like losing weight, like I want to eat right for one day and wake up the next morning with abs, and when that shit doesn't happen, I'm out of here. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Like I
get it.
I'm back to I'll see it at the McDonald's drive-thru at 9:30.
Yeah, we already said we're not talking about that anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I've got ab.
So real quick, a little peek behind the curtains. So we've listened back to some of the shows that we've gone over and or that we've done, and we've realized that we've talked about the same thing a couple of times, or variations of the same thing. So we've got a list now, and we're gonna try to make sure we don't talk about those things, but no promises, because one of the things we talk about a lot is fast food, and we like fast food.
But we figured you guys are tired of hearing it, even though it's probably a conversation, if you're unhealthy like the rest of us are, that you have on a regular basis.
Before we get too carried away, I do want to welcome everybody to another episode of Nothing in Moderation. I think this is going to be episode 9. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to keep track almost. I want to just give them crazy names and move on.
I actually really enjoy the names that are coming up with them, especially when, like, I was just listening to whatever episode number it was about us counting to 21.
Yeah.
I can count to 21.
Yeah.
And I was like, where is that coming from? Where is it? And then, 15 minutes before the podcast is over, it comes up that it's the guy you work with that says he can count to 21 if he's naked.
Yeah.
And I burst out laughing in the car because I'm like, where is that coming from? And sometimes the payoff is giving it the time to get to the end. Mm-hmm. But so Matty Cakes said he was listening to the podcast, and his wife, who wasn't around during the whole sheriff's office thing, she goes, I can count to 21. Is that why Travis got fired from the sheriff's office? Is he couldn't count to 21 with that girl drinking underage? And I was like, oh
my God.
And Matt,
that's amazing.
Matty was so vague the way he was explaining it. I had to ask him to clarify like 4 times. And then when he finally explained it, and he goes, it was kind of cringeworthy. And it's like, no, it's not. That's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, that is hysterical.
He's like, yeah, it was. I was laughing so hard I almost had to pull the car over.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like I there's a couple of people that I work with that I've told about it or let listen to or whatever, and I don't want to get carried away with it at work because I don't want it to bleed over and because most people aren't going to care, but there's at least one person that's going to get offended or whatever, and
absolutely,
But regardless of that, like I was the guy that I told the story about that made the comment about having to count to 20, the count to 21 comment, when I was telling somebody else, and he was there, and he saw the title of the episode like on my phone as I was showing it to somebody, and he bust out laughing, and I was like, I told the story about you, and he was like, no way. But the one of the other guys was we were talking about the naming thing, and I was saying how some of the like the shows with the crazier names, like the Travis got ran over by a neon or Buttholes of Africa, had more downloads. Although they've all kind of evened out to where they're similar now. Those were the first ones that are like shooting up in downloads, because if I'm somebody that doesn't know shit, that's the first thing I'm clicking on too. I want to
weird names. Yeah. Well, that's the same concept in beers too. Is the flashy? It could taste like shit, but you don't know that if it's a new beer. Yeah. You buy based on the can art and the name.
Well, but the call center diaries episode, when I made that name, I was literally thinking basketball diaries.
Gilbert.
So like I'm disappointed that one's one of the ones that doesn't get a lot of like downloads in comparison, because of like I feel like I lost it on the name, although I had good intentions for it. I don't think it translated well.
Right.
So we're going to work on that. Again, I got sidetracked before I could even finish what I was talking about. Welcome to Nothing in Moderation. I am Mike, here with my bestest friend Travis.
That's me.
We are broadcasting to you live-ish from the Nothing in Moderation studios out behind the Sears.
The multi-million-dollar.
Yeah, I told the wife today I ordered the stuff for
taking phone calls.
Taking phone calls, and we have the Ring doorbell deal, and she's like, "Oh, thanks, Amazon dropped something off," and I was like, "Yeah, I ordered stuff for the multi-million-dollar studio," and she just laughed, and I was like, "Man, I really just called it that. I'm a super nerd."
That's cool,
but. Make sure you guys check us out on all of our social media. It'll be linked in the show notes, but it's at Nothing in Mod Pod on pretty much anything you can think of. We are also trying to come up with, or at least I am. I haven't even talked to you about this. I want to come up with a name for a network, like a mothership of sorts.
A mothership?
Yeah.
A thing we all report to?
Yeah, something that, we can fall, like this show would fall under the umbrella, and whatever else we decide to do could fall under the umbrella. So if you guys got any ideas for that, hit us up. Definitely send us an email.
Disney.
That's not going to go well.
Well, they'll just sue us, and we'll get a bunch of publicity, and we'll give up the name. And
yeah, I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah, I don't either. You have to fight the mouse
and
kill Winnie the Pooh.
Listen, So, funny story. I worked at Disney in high school. I did culinary arts in high school, and I will just let everybody know now that I did not take culinary arts because I like to cook. I took culinary arts because it gave me the ability to. It was in the afternoons, so I could use my lunch break to go smoke weed.
And your lunch money.
And my lunch money to go smoke weed, because I could come back, and in the afternoons, I could have this full kitchen full of food and cook for myself when I had the munchies. The damn it, I did it again. I can't make it fucking 10 minutes. Anyway,
you need more Adderall.
I got it now. Yeah, no. So I had to do an externship at Disney as part of the. Didn't have to be at Disney. It just happened where I happened to get it. And when I was doing the training, like they take you on tours of the tunnel, and they take you up into the park and show you around the park and show you all the employee entrances and shit like that. Well, we go to get on an elevator, and one of the elevators that goes up to the park, there's a character also on the elevator with us. I'm not thinking anything of it, and everybody's saying hi to him or whatever, and he's waving, and I pat him, and I guess when I patted him, like I meant to pat him on the shoulder, but just the way it all worked out, I patted him on the head. Well, the costumes that they wear, like the Tigger, it was Tigger, and the costume that Tigger wears, the head, because it's so big, it jerks on their neck when you hit it. Like, it's not pleasant for them. I didn't know that. And I wasn't trying to be a dick when I did it at the time.
You were essentially face masking a defender.
Basically, yes. I basically stiff armed Tigger, but I didn't know that was what it was, and I. In perfect Disney fashion, so after that, I get pulled aside by the trainer of my class and the manager for the characters that day that was on duty.
Oh, golly.
And get pulled in, and I'm getting talked to. But I shit you not, the manager for the characters is a little person. So I am getting yelled at by a little person about basically face masking Tigger at Disney. And I'm just like, I can't make this shit up. Like, this is how is this my life right now?
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was good times. I did not last long at Disney. I made it about 3 more shifts before I was A, tired of the drive, but B, tired of the working for the mouse.
It's it's really interesting because we live in the area. We don't really give it a second thought, but everyone outside the area is like, oh my God, you must go to Disney all the time. And knowing people that work there, there's people that love it. Like I have a friend I grew up with, and her mom retired like 35 years in hospitality, and started as like a room cleaner and ended up as a big manager and stuff. And she ended up being a big Disney fanatic anyway. So she loved going to the park and loved being able to tout the mouse and stuff like that. But then I talked to other people, and it's like, I make minimum wage as a server there, and we're not allowed to take tips at any of the restaurants.
Yep.
And I was like, why are you driving all the way? And she's like, oh, I get free passes. I was like, I understand those are worth $1,000 a person a day, but is it worth it? In every place has got its pros and cons, but I don't know if you know this. I was the mascot in high school.
I did not know that. That's one of those things I just would have never even guessed either.
Yeah, so I played football my junior year, and tore my ACL and my MCL, and needed surgery on my knee and stuff, and opted out of getting the surgery. And the doctors all said it's not a matter of if the tears will finish, because they were like 70% tears. They're like, it's a matter of when. It's you could just be walking. It could be in a week. It could be in a couple of years, whatever. And I was on crutches for like 6 months, but I still wanted to do something with the school, but I couldn't keep playing football because it was obviously jeopardizing that knee a lot more. So my senior year, I said, well, if I'm the mascot, I can still hang out with all the cheerleaders, because you're technically a cheerleader.
Yeah.
And I can still do school spirit stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we were the Panthers. I wore a big Panther costume and had a big bobblehead. So I understand the whole, the head thing. Although the Disney ones are much bigger.
Yeah.
I can't imagine someone doing cartwheels and round-offs in a Goofy costume. I was doing that stuff then.
Gosh.
But,
don't sue us, Disney. I'm just kidding.
Is Garsh a trademark thing?
It might be.
I know it's what Goofy says, but
it's Disney, so they probably trademarked it.
They're going to own everything here shortly.
But I've just never understood, and like you said, we live here, so people think that we must go there all the time. And
same thing with the beach.
There is a large, exactly. I hate the beach too. Like you know what? The beach pisses me off because I just spend the entire afternoon picking harpoons out.
Yeah.
We got to get a soundboard so I can get the drums.
The rim shot.
Yeah.
I like going to the beach, but they spend all day pushing me back in the water.
Yeah. Yeah, I stuttered. Don't.
It's a 2-step.
It is a 2-step. I don't understand entirely the Disney fanatics. Like they are a different breed. Like I worked with a girl who went to like the Dapper Days and dressed up and did all of the outside, but like I guess the special events that you don't know about unless you're like a Disney insider.
Right.
All that shit. And it blows my mind. I don't understand it.
I mean, the Food and Wine Festival, I don't know if we talked about this. Now we're back on food.
Yeah.
But
it's going to happen.
It's something I can understand going to. You know, you can...
Never been.
I haven't either. Ashley has,
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Not surprising.
For me,
She's
it's
fancy.
I can't justify the cost to get into the park.
Yeah, no.
Plus have to buy food at all the stations. You know, like if I got a free pass, which obviously is not their intention to make money, then I could justify spending, $5 per person in every country to try everything and whatever it is.
$5 seems generously light.
Per item.
Oh, okay.
And it's a smaller sample.
Yeah.
And I mean, Louis got an annual pass and he goes and he does it living in Florida. He does it the right way. It's like, oh, well, he checks the app and sees what the wait times are. And if there's a couple things he wants to go do, he'll make the trip down there, ride like 3 rides, grab a beer, grab something to eat and come home. And I guess that works if you have availability, but he's not one of the people that it's like, he's got mouse ears and his house is decorated. And I have a friend that's like that too. Yeah. My trainer at AT&T, Amber is wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's a legitimate Disney fanatic. Like one of her rooms in her house is Disney everything. And she loves Star Wars, like everything that's Disney Empire. She's a fan and she knows about it. It's kind of like one of her big passions. And I don't get it. Yeah. Especially being an adult. Like Disney's super cool for the kids. And I know they're putting stuff in that's appealing to us with the Star Wars stuff and their attention to detail is incredible, and the artwork's all great, but it still just feels like it's for the kids.
Yeah.
And, Universal feels a little bit more aimed at our age range. Oops, sorry, buddy. Kick you under the table.
Playing some footsie with me?
Yeah.
I like it.
Just wish I hadn't said it out loud. Yeah. But, no, Universal seems more like our speed. It's a little bit more adult oriented, not graphic. Yeah. But just for an older crowd. But even that just ends up so crowded. I can't be shoulder to shoulder with people.
Yeah, I want to go ride roller coasters so bad, and I don't want to go be shoulder to shoulder with people and waiting all the long ass.
Well, now that you're skinny.
Well, not skinny.
I mean, if you're going in the wintertime, which is where we are now, if it's actually it's winter time.
It was like 85 today.
It was. I was going to say, if it's ever actually cold, that's the time to go. And if you get there early, I can tell you, having been there during the summertime, like they reach capacity by 9 a.m. sometimes. And that's crazy to me.
No, I'm not interested. I mean, I'm very interested, but I'm not interested. That's the terrible part.
I mean, I'd go during the wintertime. I mean, you're going to ride some roller coasters. It's going to be chilly if you're going on a cold day, but
hopefully
go on like a Tuesday. I mean, I know you work Monday through Friday, but
do I?
Sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, no, I do.
Shows how much I know. Yeah. Oh no,
God,
we got new mic stands, and this one's sneaking up under me, so I walloped it with my foot.
Basically, you don't know what you're doing.
I don't. That applies to my entire life.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we ended up here, is not knowing what we were doing. If you don't know what you're doing, what do? You could buy a couple of microphones and you post that shit on the internet.
Exactly. So, did we end up covering all of the social media?
Yeah, we got all that.
The one caveat that we didn't get to touch on is if you listen to the podcast or you want to listen to the podcast and for some reason it's not popping up on your specific podcast software, because Android has a lot of varieties and then there are other apps for it.
Yep.
Just send us a message and we'll make it a point to add it to whatever it is you're using. We ran into that with Matty Cakes. He wanted to listen to it and it wasn't on whatever his proprietary software was, and we got it set up.
Most of them all pull the feed from Apple, but there are some that you have to submit it to on your own. So I'm trying to get to all of them, but there are just so many of them that it's going to get to a point where we'll be on all the majors, and then if you need us to add it somewhere, we can. You can always go to our website though and get the feed from there, and then most of those the other proprietary sites will have the ability for you to add it manually too.
Chances are, if you're hearing this, though, you've already listened to the podcast.
Chances are,
so you don't need us to add it to your feed.
Yeah. But there's, chances are somebody was like, hey, check this out, and sent you a link, and then you're like, oh, how do I get this in my app? Because you love us and you want to listen to us forever and ever.
And ever.
That's not true.
Okay.
I don't expect people to listen to us forever. Or do I? I should expect them to, shouldn't I?
I don't know. Expectation's the root of all heartbreak.
Yeah. Oh, God. Speaking of heartbreak.
Uh-oh.
It's, the Australia fires are out there kicking.
Yeah, last I read, they managed to get, I don't want to say it quelled, but managed to get it kind of reeled in to where they think they have a reasonable control on it. I saw my sister post it on Instagram. I think it's Keen Shoes, K-E-E-N.
Yeah.
They're doing, for every pair of shoes you buy, there's a donation made towards the Australian wildfire firefighters. God, what a tough sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're also donating like 3,000 pairs of boots. So
wow.
if you have shoe or boot needs,
that's awesome.
a great place to head over and kind of make the purchases.
I kind of bring it up because I thought it was, I don't know if you saw the article. Metallica, I guess, donated like $750,000 to the one of the I don't remember exactly which charity it was but it was and then Amazon and Jeff Bezos only donated like $690,000, and everybody lost their minds over it. So I thought that was funny. But I jumped on Keen. I pulled them up on the internet real quick, and they make like water shoes and hiking shoes and things like that. And I'm sure there's other companies out there. So if you guys know them, definitely let us know.
And it looks like some of the prices are pretty comparable. $120, $130 pair of boots, stuff like that. So
it's fair. But like I said, I know there's some other ones out there. So if you guys know, which ones they are, ones you're supporting, let us know. We want to make sure we get you to the right places to help them out. So
perfect. I know Tom's was another company that my sister was a big fan of back in the day because for every pair of shoes you bought, they donated a pair of shoes.
Yeah. They still do that, actually.
When we were in Zanzibar, which is the little island off of Tanzania, they get a lot of like our secondhand shoes. Like when we throw shoes away or they go to donations and stuff, they end up in that part of the world. And they're very proud of having secondhand Nikes or Reeboks or whatever versus owning something new. Yeah. So, we pay $100 for a pair of shoes that were made for 12 cents overseas anyway at a sweatshop. And then we give them away and they get to buy them for $5 and they're super proud. They're like, look, I'm wearing Nikes and I only paid $5 for them. It's just kind of an interesting cycle.
I like to see the memes that come up after any sort of championship game.
Right.
Where like it's the little kid and it's got a Photoshop
Here come the Falcons jerseys.
Yeah, the Falcons jerseys or the Patriots Super Bowl champion shirts. So I didn't like it the year that they had the Alabama championship shirts that would have been.
Was that just this weekend? Was the
championship was last night. Was LSU Clemson.
So how'd that go?
I mean, Clemson or LSU won. I didn't watch any of the game.
It wasn't Alabama, so it didn't matter.
Pretty much. My season ended a couple weeks ago. My season ended on January 1st.
Yeah, mine ended on Saturday.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Wait, didn't the Patriots lose last weekend or was it this weekend?
I don't even know what day it is at this point. So whenever the Patriots lost.
Okay, that was when yours ended.
Yeah, that's when I quit paying attention. I mean, I'll watch the Super Bowl for the commercials and.
I'm not even going to do that.
Really?
Yeah.
Not even for the nachos and the tater tots?
I just don't care about the I don't care about any of that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So baseball season starts soon. So there's that.
I explained my thoughts on baseball last week.
I don't know if I mentioned it. If I did, screw y'all. I picked up. I felt like a real baller. I bought season tickets to the Stetson baseball.
Okay,
but they
typically have a good baseball team.
But it was like $130 per seat, and I bought a seat, and then one of my friends that I worked with at my last job, he bought a seat
for the season.
And there, we bought seats right next to each other. It's like 37 games.
Wow.
Well, there was like 6 games that Stetson plays that I'm going to regardless of what I bought. The cost of the seat is the total cost of those 6 games that I'm going to anyway. All the other games are just a bonus because I was going to spend that money anyway. But I get a dedicated seat, and it's in the way the stadium is set up that Stetson plays in. There's only like one specific area that is basically shady in the afternoons. So any of the games that I go to, I'm immediately in the shade. I don't have to sit in the sun, which is cool.
Do you have assigned seats?
Yeah, they're assigned. Yeah,
Oh, and that's where you bought the
what
tickets.
for $100 you could get the unassigned bleacher seats for the whole season, which is an even better deal. But I would rather have the for $35.
Shade.
I got a guaranteed seat in the shade. So
Are those 6 specific games ones that you know had like
yeah,
you know they're playing Alabama or you know
they're playing like the UCF game, the USF game. They play Florida State. I think they play Florida this year. There was like 1 or 2 others.
It's impressive when you think about how many students UCF and FSU and UF, you know, the big colleges have, that they're playing a school of like 3,000 students, which is Stetson.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's well, and I mean, like Stetson gets. I went to the FSU game this last year, and they pulled in like a decent crowd. Like they basically sold the stadium out for FSU, which is expected.
right.
But even for smaller, I went to like FAU versus Stetson, and Florida Atlantic is bigger than Stetson, but it's probably more USF size than like FSU or UCF size.
Well, yeah, you figured FSU, UF, and UCF are the 3 biggest in the state, and they're 30,000 plus students.
There was several hundred people at the Stetson FAU game. Like it wasn't like it was a good crowd. I was surprised. But it makes me feel like a baller to be able to tell people that I got season tickets to a baseball games.
It sounds like you should be handing out nothing in moderation koozies and keychains.
Oh, that might be a good idea. We're gonna have to add that to the board. Oh, later.
Yeah,
We'll forget by the time we get there.
we'll take a look at that after the show.
So what else is going on? You guys do anything crazy this week?
Yeah, I didn't do something crazy. I went somewhere where some people were doing some crazy shit. Went to a good buddy of mine's 30th birthday. He's a youngin'. He has a piece of property, and there's a fire and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. He had his leftover Christmas tree and threw it on the fire, and the fire was tiny. And he threw that, and he had a bunch of wood set up, and we're just all waiting. And I was like, all right, he's going to get some gas or something. He went and got a leaf blower and fired up the fire with a leaf blower. And I was like, now that's I never would have thought of that. And he walked around and just very precisely aimed the wind gusts, and you hear little bursts, and then it's getting bigger and bigger, and huge roaring fire. It was a good time. Taco bar.
Nice.
Lots of car people.
I'm always down for a party that's got a taco bar.
Yeah.
This is going to drag us into a food conversation now. So
nothing was, as with anything, when you're making food for a group of people, you don't spice it the way you normally would if you were making it. I mean, I do, and I just tell everyone to deal with how spicy the chili is, but most people don't. The wild part about being at this gathering was the quote unquote hypothetical that somebody who's like 10 years older than me had a water bottle and kind of tossed it over by a tree, and then you hear and we're like, uh-oh, I know what that sounds like. I mean, I used to blow shit up before it was 9/11 illegal. You know, go out in the woods, and it's like, oh, well, this chemical and in a bottle go kaboom after a certain amount of time. Yeah. And there were a couple of loud kabooms out there, and I was like, man, that's what you get to do at 45.
Is that what we have to look forward to?
I guess.
I'm not sure that's what I want to look forward to.
I mean, as long as you're having a good time and nobody's getting hurt and you're not going to federal prison over it, it is what it is.
Things change quickly, though.
Oh, yeah. When DHS shows up.
They will show up quickly, too. They don't fuck around.
Know where we were. Way out in the middle of BFE. No reception, no anything.
No, well, that's no fun. I like to have a little bit of reception. I
don't
want to actually interact with people that I'm hanging out with.
There's no 911 if something goes poorly.
Yeah. Well, that's not good either.
Not my leg. Not anymore.
That leg belongs to the fire now. Oh, man. I can see you just losing your leg. Can't fucking get anything.
Right.
You're just out there hanging out because nothing anybody can do.
I saw a fun video of a guy who was at the beach, and he was an amputee. He had a metal leg, and he squirted suntan lotion in his hands, and he's rubbing it on the actual leg, and next to him's a can of WD-40. And it's a video. He puts the suntan lotion on, and then he picks up the WD-40 and sprays his metal leg, and then lays out to get a tan.
Jesus.
Someone with a good sense of humor.
Most people, I listened to a TED Talk today from a guy that was an amputee. I think he was a double amputee. But he was just, he'd say something serious, and then he'd bust back in with a joke about, not having legs, or I guess he lost an arm too. It's like he would, I wasn't paying that close of attention.
I'm guessing you weren't watching this.
No, I was listening to it.
Okay, it was like, how do you not know if the guy lost a leg?
Yeah, I don't do any video stuff. I'm strictly audio. I don't have the attention span to
look at something.
Yeah, I can't watch and drive, and I don't.
Oh, okay. This is while you're driving.
Yeah, well, and that's the only time I really.
Well, I figured work's all of like 6 minutes away, so you're not really driving for that. Although it may have been when you were driving to Orlando last night for 2 hours.
Fuck my life. That was terrible. I hate Orlando so much.
We talked about this.
I know, and I
also hate Orlando.
God, it's so terrible.
Not because it doesn't have anything to offer, just traffic's garbage. It's like, if anybody's in Houston listening to us, they know what we're talking about. Yeah. Houston's terrible.
Yeah, never been there. Houston's not terrible. Don't talk that way about the
Houston traffic is terrible.
Oh, okay, there you go. You got to specify.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hate on Paul Wall.
You're gonna have fucking Jay Prince up in this bitch knocking us down. Shout out to everybody who may or may not know who Jay Prince is.
I'm just going to leave it as dead air now so you're uncomfortable.
That's fine. You're not going to make me uncomfortable. You know that. So
speaking of fires and losing limbs,
uh-oh.
On a serious note,
okay,
you saw that there was a plane that went down in the Ukraine, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, accidental.
Okay.
Well, it was an anti-aircraft missile system. Allegedly, it was it was Iranian. It was a Russian system owned and operated by Iran. At least that's what I'm seeing most recently, in that it was an unintentional downing, that the systems were active because of U.S. planes being in the area, just a perfect storm of sorts.
Yeah.
But last I saw, they cleaned up the wreckage before the Ukraine or Canada got a chance to get in and kind of inspect everything and see what was going on.
That seems about right.
Yeah.
So you, I think I want to surprise you with something.
Uh-oh.
I think we should take a relationship quiz.
That'll be fun. Am I answering questions about you?
You are. No, you're answering questions about me.
Okay.
I gotta get back to it. Give me a second, because I didn't write the questions down. I saved them on this here website. What's my favorite color?
Ooh. Red. Good
call. You got that one right. What's my sign?
I don't even know what that means.
Like a Taurus, Cancer, a Sagittarius.
Okay, so I clearly don't even know what the zodiac signs are, and I'm going to try and guess.
Nice.
You could ask me when your birthday is, and I won't remember.
I know. That's why we're doing this.
You're a
terrible
Capricorn.
I am not. I'm a Gemini.
You're Gemini. Oh, wait, your birthday's in June?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
My sister's birthday's in June. That's the only reason
I'm very aware.
Shut up. Fuck you.
Your sister and I's birthday is... She's the...
14th.
Okay, yeah, it's a few days before mine.
Yours the 21st?
18th. Billy's wife and I share a birthday, too.
Sheepy and I share a birthday.
That's great. What do I think is my best physical feature?
Your unicorn horn.
It's gone, so that's not...
It's gone.
Yeah.
Your best physical feature. Your tattoos.
It's not really physical, but...
Okay. It's not your butt, because you don't have one.
I do not have one. I do not have a butt. I have a tiny hiney. That's my wife calls it.
A tiny hiney.
Tiny hiney.
What do you think your best physical features? I know it's not your penis, because you say kitten on a beanbag chair.
Yeah.
I'm going to answer your question with a question. Is it the same physical feature you would have had 10 years ago?
I don't really have a favorite physical feature. This is kind of a trick question.
Well, I was going to say your beard.
Oh, yeah, no. That would probably be my favorite. Yeah, that's a good call. I'll give you that one.
That's why I asked about 10 years ago.
Yeah. How often do I do housework?
Every day.
Oh, good call. It's not true.
It's
my
not?
wife will tell you that. Well, my wife will tell you that's not true.
I figured you helped around the house somewhat every day. I mean, I do.
Every now and then.
I'm a bad boyfriend.
God, you know what? See, I didn't plan this out because I don't plan anything out. And those are all the questions.
That's it?
Yeah.
So I scored, what, a 1 out of 5?
You got 1 out of 5. God.
You want to run through those real quick on me?
No.
What's my favorite color?
Your favorite color is blue.
Correct.
Did I get that? Sweet. I was just guessing.
What's my favorite physical feature?
Your calves.
No, but they are pretty.
Yeah, they are all right. Alpha and the Omega.
What is my sign? This is kind of unfair because different zodiacs will tell you different things because I'm on the cusp.
Well, and I don't.
Are you looking up what sign is my birthday?
No, because I don't. Your birthday's in October, isn't it?
No.
I don't know.
July.
July. That's right. It's right after mine.
I'm a pinchy little crab.
Is that the
Cancer?
Cancer.
Yeah, we're loving and sweet people and understanding and emotional and all that bull crap.
No, that's none of that.
I don't remember what the other questions were. Oh, how often do I do housework? I answered that.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of housework, but I help the wife with the dinner prep and the cleaning and stuff like that.
All right, here we go. Found a better one.
Are we doing another relationship quiz?
Yep. I found one with more actual questions.
Is this going to be a reoccurring thing?
No, it might be.
Quizzes on each other?
We might be.
Okay.
Am I a dog or a cat person?
You're a dog person.
Sweet.
You only have, what, 5? 4?
Four and a turtle. Do I have any allergies?
Hazelnut, potentially, but it's a false positive.
Nice. Look at that. Look at you.
I was just listening to that episode.
Do I have any superstitions or beliefs? Mostly superstitions. We'll stick to superstitions.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of any, but I feel like being as big of a baseball fan as you are and a football fan, you have to have some sort of superstition you stick to.
I do. I will stop and walk around a pole. I will not split a pole when I'm walking next to someone.
So like if you and I are walking and bullshitting down the sidewalk and there's a pole, we're both going on the same side.
Yeah. If you try to split the pole, I will stop and walk around you to the other side. I will absolutely not split a pole.
Is there any backing to that?
No, not really. It's just
that's your thing.
Yeah, just my thing. I don't have any real what's my favorite movie?
Well, you own one movie on DVD, so Correct. It's probably Robin Hood Men in Tights.
And I got 2 more.
I'm doing this one much better.
There you are. What's my favorite food?
Oh God, fried chicken.
Absolutely. God damn it, I would tear some fried chicken up right now. And last but not least, if I were in a witness protection program, what would my nickname be?
Cupcake.
God damn. It's pretty close. You got that one. That's good time.
Princess Cupcake.
So, God damn it. On the subject of favorite movies, what are some of your favorite car movies?
Okay. I know a lot of guys that we used to hang out with love The Wraith.
Yeah.
It's very 70s, 80s ridiculousness, and I think one of the Sheens is in it.
Yeah.
I enjoy Two Lane Blacktop. I actually went out and bought it. I don't know that it's really fair to call it a car movie because it doesn't have anything car people specific. Mm-hmm. But there are certain parts of the Fast and Furious franchise that I kind of enjoy. Yeah. I like watching The Rock be a badass and go around and beat everybody up.
See, and that's the part of the Fast and Furious franchise that lost me.
The part that lost me is the 7 forward gears in Brian Spillner's Eclipse and the floorboard falling out when they spray the NOS.
Yeah. There's so many ways that's wrong, but we won't get into those today. I think sadly enough, like that one car movie that I'll just always sit down and watch is like Gone in 60 Seconds.
The original or the one with Nick Cage?
The one with Nick Cage. I don't think I've ever actually seen the original, but I know we talked about it previously, but like I went and saw Ford versus Ferrari, and it was good enough that I could definitely see myself like just watching it if it comes on TV.
I haven't seen it yet.
It was pretty good. But yeah, I think Gone in 60 Seconds would have to be my pick.
Really? Yeah. I mean, I just watched something on Watch Mojo or whatever it was about the top 10 movies that were great until a certain CG scene. In the scene where Nick Cage jumps the Eleanor and it touches the top of the ambulance and it's clearly like the most garbage fake CGI ever was number 1 on the list. The Italian Job isn't a bad. I mean, it's not really a car movie, but it has
a pseudo car,
a heavy car influence on it. I'm a big fan of Ed Norton.
I do love me some Ed Norton.
Transformers. Any of the Transformers? Those are all car movies, right?
No, not at all.
I mean, they're cars.
They are, but I don't. I guess it's because I'm not big into cartoons or comic books or
Right.
it wasn't my thing growing up. So like I don't have this big relationship with like Marvel or DC or any of those things. Like I watch Transformers. Like I just it's just I don't go out of my way to watch that kind of stuff.
That's fair. Didn't Hasbro just buy like some rap record label?
I think they bought Death Row from Suge Knight or whatever, from Suge Knight's not his estate, but
His holding or whatever.
Yeah, I think it was.
That's funny.
I think it was them.
So now there can be Transformers rap music. Death Row is the one that Dre was on before he left, right?
Yes, yeah. Death Row is where Hasbro officially owns Death Row Records.
That's funny.
Death Row has like Snoop was on it, Dre was on it. I want to say
Tupac was on it, wasn't he?
Yeah, he definitely would have been.
Well, because wasn't that what I learned from the documentary of Straight Outta Compton was Dre had Snoop, and I think the movie ended about the time that Pac was coming on to Death Row. Mm-mm. No, it's not where the movie ended?
No, because Pac was in the very early part of the movie.
Okay.
When they were in the studio originally, Tupac was in the booth when they were in there trying to get some of the Eazy-E verses recorded.
Okay.
So
that is something I'm definitely not the knowledgeable in.
Yeah, I'm not really super duper knowledgeable about it either. It's just not my... that wasn't my genre growing up. I was more of a Southern...
Kenny Loggins and...
Yeah, definitely the Kenny Loggins.
and some Freebird.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I was more of the Gucci Mane, Zaytoven.
Was Gucci Mane even around when you were a kid?
I mean, when I was a teen, late teens, he came out.
Were you like a Trick Daddy guy, or were you more like
I was
Atlanta
definitely a Trick Daddy guy.
Okay.
But yeah, I've got pretty much every Trick Daddy album ever released, but I was also a 3-6 Mafia guy. So
okay, so it's Memphis.
Yeah, Texas.
Were
the
you
UGK.
a Bone Crusher guy?
I like Bone Crusher.
Luda?
Yep. I one of the first hip hop CDs that I bought was UGK Riding Dirty. So that was, and they're from Texas. They did the song with Jay-Z. Why did I just draw a blank?
I don't know. But when you say Riding Dirty, it makes me want to bring up
Chameleonaire.
No, Weird Al, actually.
Oh, yeah. How White and Nerdy?
Yeah, I mean, he does, I don't want us to call them covers, but parody songs of a lot of different bands.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like his song may actually be more enjoyable to listen to than the original. And I know there's purists that say no matter who did a song originally, the cover is never as good as the original. And I personally don't agree with that.
Yeah.
The most prime example I can give is 9 Inch Nails and Johnny Cash with the song Hurt.
Yeah.
I feel like Johnny Cash's version is so good. I thought that was the original and 9 Inch Nails covered it. And it took me a very long time to find out otherwise.
Yeah.
But even like my favorite Michael Jackson songs are not done by Michael Jackson.
I don't dislike Leonard Skinner, but my favorite Simple Man is the one Shinedown did. And I don't think I think they did it better than Skinner did it.
Okay.
Fight me.
Well, that's the entire Metallica Garage Days Revisited album where or Garage Inc. or whatever it
They
is.
didn't do anything good.
You don't think
Metallica
so?
sucks. I hate Metallica.
Turn the Page and Whiskey in the Jar and Die My Darling. And
No. Hate Metallica.
And I don't like a lot of the shit that they did over time and the position that, Lars took on some stuff and how much of a dick face he was about stuff.
You know what's weird? And I assume you're referencing streaming.
Just in general.
And their general, like,
right.
their attitude towards people stealing their music or whatever. And I remember at the time thinking, man, that's dumb. But I was also stealing not their music, but just in general. Like I was downloading whatever was, at that time I was so far into it that I was on like message boards that had like links, or not links, they live uploaded copies of the album that they got weeks in advance.
Oh.
You know, so I was way deep into it. But I don't, in hindsight, I don't disagree with anything their opinion on those matters.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I understand you're quote unquote taking money out of their pockets. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, they're all worth $250 million each and shit like that. And my God, the 15 cents you make from the stream or whatever. But, you know, I tell you about MC Chris and seeing MC Chris in concert, and he's like, "Oh, who's going to buy my album?" And everybody cheers. And he's like, "Bullshit. You're all going to stream it. And that's okay because you can't download a t-shirt." You know, and he understands that for his music to be heard, it's going to be out there for free. It just is what it is. And he's going to make way more money off selling a fucking t-shirt than he is off having a stream, a single, you know, plus your free advertising if you're buying a shirt and you're walking around and you're exposing more people to it, and you're going to share stuff with people by letting them listen to it, and then they're going to buy merch and stuff like that. And he's super reasonable about, you know, $25 for a t-shirt, $40 for a hoodie.
Yeah.
Dude, when I went and saw Metallica way back in the day,
I'm sure
it was like $60 for a fucking t-shirt.
Yeah. I feel like when I saw Def Leppard back in the day, like when they were still somewhat relevant, or at least trying to make a comeback to being relevant, I feel like their t-shirts were like $40 or $45.
When I saw Pantera and White Zombie back in 15. I wasn't even 15 yet. I was 12. So 94. Mm-hmm. It was like $40 for a t-shirt.
That's insane. I know one of the things that is, you'll hear, I've listened to more, some of the podcasts I listen to are based in, you know, they're people that interview hip hop stars or producers and things like that. But a lot of them don't even focus on streams because they make their money off of their shows or their merch or whatever. You know, they will. I think Mike Jones was saying something about Mike Jones. Yeah, God damn it, I did it. God. He was saying something about if he puts out a new song and it gets streamed X amount of times, it makes him like $5,000. And he put up a contract on this post that he made. He put up a screenshot of a contract for a show that paid him like $7,500. And he's like, I don't have to create anything new. He's like, I'm getting booked off of my old stuff.
Yep.
He's like, he's like making new music doesn't make me any money. He's like, it's a waste of my time. The
only thing it does is expand your library to justify a new tour.
Yeah. But you're, even in somebody like him, you're not doing a new tour. You're just going to, you're traveling off what you were popular for. Nobody wants to hear your new music. When Mike Jones comes on stage, nobody wants to hear anything new that you have. They all want to hear back then, and that's it. They want you to do back then and get the fuck off the stage.
Right, and I'm sure there's artists who they want to come out and do new stuff, and they get interrupted. Boo, do this or do that.
Yep. And I think a lot of that rolls over into podcasting too, because you're putting the show out there for free. You have to get that money back somehow, and whether it be through adding advertisers or selling merch or whatever, it's all about. I think I was reading an article that's sort of related about how millennials they're not doing the 9-to-5 thing necessarily for one company. They'll have 5 or 6 different jobs, like the gig. They call it the gig, time. Like, you'll do Instacart, you'll deliver for Instacart, or you'll drive for Uber, or you'll be
a digital assistant. 20 hours a week.
You don't, you do your own thing, and and I think that has to, because that's the way the world is going. That's the way you have to look at everything. You need to have multiple streams of income. If you make $25,000 a year, or if that's your goal or whatever total, instead of trying to get that all from one place, get a fifth of it from 5 different places.
Right. I think I told you that some of the people in the group that the wife's in on Facebook, the Girls Love Travel or whatever.
Yeah.
Some of them are digital nomads. They're like, I teach English, 5 times a week for an hour each, and it pays me, $30 an hour, and that's enough for me to get by for the month in Southeast Asia while I'm traveling. And it's like, wow.
There are, and I think Amazon runs a big one, but like gig services where you sign up and a task pays you 12 cents, but it takes you 30 seconds to sort a file for somebody.
Right.
But you can make tons of money because different things pay different amounts of money.
Right.
Things that are take you longer, make more money. And I look at those ways because I think it's smart to have multiple streams of income coming in. We ran off on a super tangent there. I like it.
It's all good. So I mentioned digital nomads and traveling and stuff, and you and I talked recently about what our travel plans are. Mm-hmm. We were visiting with my parents this weekend, and just through the natural conversation and stuff, we were talking to them about what their intentions are, because my mom's going to Japan to visit my sister while she's stationed there.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, and we brought up they have a timeshare, and what are they doing with it, and why don't you guys trade some of the time at the timeshare to go visit different places you want to go? And my dad said he wants to go see Mount Rushmore, which I think is really neat. But the guys that I worked with were up there for Sturgis, and Mount Rushmore's in the middle of nowhere. The closest airport, I think, is like 3 hours away. So it's a bit of an undertaking, which is what it is. I mean, it's vacation, do whatever you want. But my mom is looking at booking a trip to Niagara Falls. Ugh. Like, they really want to go to Niagara Falls. And my mom, she figured out what the flights cost and what the rental car costs. And then she was looking at booking a room at a specific hotel where the balcony overlooks the falls. And I'm sure it's gorgeous. And my dad was like, it's going to cost $500 a day while we're there. And I was like, what are you guys doing to cost that much? And Mom said between the rental car and the hotel she was looking at, which is expensive, plus what they estimate for food, that's about what it costs. And Mom said they were going to stay in this hotel with that balcony for like 4 days. And I asked her, I'm like, what are you going to do in the area for 4 days? And there isn't really much to do right there, except look at the falls. And
there's tons to do.
Oh, is there?
Oh, absolutely. There are casinos. There's an entire flourishing down on the Canadian side. I don't know about the New York side.
So they were talking about wanting to look at staying on the New York side, but also wanting to go to the Canadian side to look. But
I've been to Canada with Destry.
Right.
We went to Niagara Falls, and it was probably the most disappointing trip I've been on.
Really?
It's actually formed my opinion, and I've not been back, but it's formed my opinion of Canada not being that great of a place.
Really?
Because I had such a bad time. It's just a tourist trap town. Like,
Got it.
The casinos are there just to take your money. It's not.
Well, that's what casinos are as a whole.
Yeah, but they're that's all there is really is casinos, and there's a downtown area that you can it's got restaurants and shopping and stuff like that.
But so it's probably all tourist pricing and
probably, and it's been a while, so I don't really remember the pricing and stuff like that. I know I walked into the casino with my $40 like I do at the strip club, and when it's gone, it's gone.
Just heard that on the podcast.
Yeah. But that's there's. On the New York side, there isn't shit to do. I don't think. But we went straight to Canada and then went back to where we were going. So,
well, I know because Ashley does this. She started looking into it, and she's like, "Man, that's a lot of money for them to spend." So she finds hotels through the Groupon site that have waterfall-facing rooms, have a casino, have a couple restaurants in them, give you a voucher for lunch, give you a voucher for dinner, free breakfast. And she's like, it's $86 a night. Yeah. She's like, your mom needs to look at this. And we talked about it. If you fly into the New York side, it's like a 45-minute drive to get up there. Yeah. If you fly into Toronto, it's an hour and a half drive.
Okay.
So any of the stuff we'd want to do in Toronto, we could stay a night in Niagara or whatever it is and then go back to Toronto and go exploring.
That's what I would probably do if I had to do over again.
Right. And that was the point I made to my mom is, you booked a room for 4 days overlooking the falls. Are you just going to look at the falls for 4 days? Like it,
mind your business.
Well, it's just going to be the same thing. The boat's going to go out, the boat's going to come back, the falls are there. It's not going to change.
And the falls aren't as like people call this, say that they're beautiful or whatever, and it's cool to see, but it's not.
To each their own. But it was the amount of time for the money spent with the same view.
That's not.
And that's not for me, but if that's what my mom wants and my mom wants that hotel, then so be it. But so Ashley goes looking into it and she goes, maybe we should just go too. She's like, maybe we shouldn't even worry about if they're going or not. Maybe we should just book a trip. She's like, it's cheap. She's like, we have enough points from all the travel that we've done. The flight will be free. She's like, the rental car is whatever it is. We'll go down there. We'll stay one night in there and do whatever. And then we'll go back and we'll explore Toronto. She's like, we could just have a long weekend. And I started laughing because we had said we want to try and not book any stuff. Yeah. But mom and dad are like, oh, we'll go and we'll do this. And
Yeah.
The reason it all came up in conversation at home was my mom had issues booking the flight to Japan. Mm-hmm. She booked it through Delta and then called them to do something. And while on the phone with the customer service rep brought up changing her flight for her. I think mom wanted a better seat or something like that. And the rep's like, oh, well, I can't do that on the flight you're on. But if I move you to this flight, I do this and I do this and you'll be there a day later or whatever it is. She's like, I can get you a little bit better seat. And my mom said, no, don't worry about that. Just leave it the way it is. I'll ask at the gate. Mm-hmm. Well, then my mom got put on hold and then they came back and then they got put on hold and then they came back and they're like, oh, well, the flight that you were on is booked completely solid and I can't get you back on it. And she's like, I never told you to take me off of it.
Yeah.
And the Delta rep just said, sorry, I took you off of it and you're off of it and I can't get you back on it. And just told her tough shit. And got off the phone with her and my mom was complaining about it to us. And I was like, well, don't just leave it alone. Call him back. She's like, well, I did. And I talked to a manager and I was on the phone for like 2 hours and I couldn't get anywhere. And they just kept telling me the flight's full. And I'm like, Mom, the system tracks what happened. The call's recorded. You didn't ask to be taken off the plane. They need to make you right. They need to do something. She's like, oh, well, they gave me like $20 Delta credit. And I was like, you need to harp on them and get on their Facebook and get on their everything. Just stay on them. And Mom's not assertive like that.
Yeah.
Well, Mom tells me she did. So she's like, hey, just so you know, I took your advice. I harped on them. She's like, I didn't make a stink about it publicly, but I messaged their people on Facebook and I called several times and I tracked everything and kept notes because I tell everybody documentation. Yeah. She's like, they gave me like $400 or $500 worth of credit. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And, and tried to help me out. And they got me back on my original flight or a flight much closer to it and stuff like that and comped this and comped that. And so we're talking about the trip. She's like, well, we can just fly to Niagara for free, right? Because I got the Delta thing. And I was like, yeah, Mom, or you can go to Vegas where you guys have the timeshare and actually see it because they've never seen it since they bought it. They bought it before it was built. And then it was built and they've never gone and stayed at it in like 6 or 7 years.
How do you even?
I don't know.
Do they just exchange it out every year?
No, they literally let it roll over. And now they have so many built up weeks, it just expires every time they pick up another week.
Yeah.
So Ashley and I used it for her 30th birthday.
Okay.
When we went out
Let
there.
me get a week though.
A week though. We changed one out when we went to Victoria. Mm-hmm. And then we asked them again about it. Hey, what do you guys think about us swapping out a week if you're not going to use it? Because they have like 4 weeks sitting there. Or why don't you try and see if you can swap it out in Niagara or something like that. But then we end up in the whole conversation about, well, you guys get the timeshare when we die and we filled out a will and testament and you guys get the house. And I was like, well, I hope that's not anytime soon. I'm not worried about it. Yeah. But
stop bringing it up.
Yeah, we did. But I mean, that's a bit of a reality check for people our age is when our parents tell us, hey, we filled out our will just so you know everything's yours and your sister's and it's split in half. And I was like, I don't care.
Yeah. I'm
not going to do anything with it, but I appreciate it. Thank you for making it easy. So there's no, thousands of dollars probate process, but
that's smart.
Now I just need them to understand proper eating habits and quit smoking.
Why? Oh God, I miss smoking so much.
I know you do. And I think I told you my dad made a big stink about if I can't smoke and I can't eat whatever the hell I want, what the fuck's the point of living?
It's a valid point.
Grandkids.
Well, I mean, I don't know anything about
All I asked him to do was quit eating sugar-added peanut butter and eat an actual peanut butter.
Just get a natural one. Same brand, just buy the natural one.
Just not the 12 cups of sugar per scoop.
Sir, you don't even have to change brands. You can get your Skippy.
Your Jif.
Your
Jif's dad's brand.
Yeah. Just get the natural one. We're not asking you to go out and buy a fucking container of almond butter.
Well, and I don't know if I brought this up on the show.
Probably,
but I know I brought it up to you. The hidden calories, keep a food diary and stuff like that. And Dad's walking a ton, eating better. Actually, I know this came up previously.
Yeah.
We discovered that he's using a lot of milk and he didn't realize milk had carbs to it, had sugar in it. So he's using effectively a cup of milk a day with all the coffee he drinks and a cup of milk every morning in his cereals.
Jesus.
So he's drinking 2 cups of milk a day and he's pumping all those carbs in him and he's supposed to be under 30 a day for the diabetic stuff. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, look, see, this is what I was talking about. I'm like, I'm not saying that you were intentionally doing this. I'm just saying here's calories that you didn't realize, or when you take a spoon and you take a spoonful of peanut butter, that is not a tablespoon serving size. That's literally a baseball of peanut butter on a spoon. You can't say this is how many carbs I had because it's not, and just getting people into that mindset and rhythm of understanding serving size and understanding where shit can be hidden.
Yeah.
You know, and there's lots of apps out there that help you track everything you eat, and it'll keep track of carbs and protein and fat and everything else for you. So if anyone's struggling out there
I used an app to quit smoking, and then I tracked my food for a long time. I don't anymore. I just can't. It just annoys me mostly because I only eat certain things anyway, so I already have a pretty good idea, and I still read the labels. I can't track it. It's just it bugs the shit out of me. But I know there are people out there that's the only thing they can do.
Well, and it depends. You got yourself into such a rhythm. Mm-hmm. You know what you can and can't eat.
Yep.
You're cognizant of what's there.
Yeah.
If someone's, I know I mentioned it before, but Dad was walking 4 miles a day and feels like he was cutting stuff out and he's not losing weight. And I was like, well, you've got to have something hidden that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
And he got defensive like most people do. Oh, I'm not lying. I'm not cheating. I'm not. Dad, I didn't say any of that. I'm saying there's something else going on, and we can get to the bottom of it if you're willing to look into it. And you just have to be willing to look into it. And people that do competitive physical shit, it's like, all right, well, they weigh their food and know exactly what they're taking in, because it's like, all right, well, I got to get this ab to pop out, and I know I can't have a carb for the next 6 months or whatever it is.
If you're getting abs to pop out, you want hundreds of grams of carbs every day.
Probably not.
God, man. This kind of leads us to something that I wanted to talk about and forgot about until just now. I know our buddy Rafi had mentioned something about eating a plant-based diet for the last couple of weeks and how he felt better.
Yeah,
and you had mentioned that you guys are straight carnivore,
right?
And have similar. But I've watched a lot of, and I've started to myself move to try to eat plant-based just to see, for no reason other than to just try something different. And it always reminds me when I go looking for information about vegan or vegetarian stuff, how fucking militant people are one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. Like some of the things that like the super duper vegans say about like how you're scum for, eating meat is as ridiculous as the people who just try to get a rise out of vegans by eating meat in obnoxious ways.
Right. I mean, I don't understand extremism as a whole in just about anything, but I know Rafi feels like he's getting good results as far as how he feels going to a completely plant-based diet.
Yeah.
If I were to do that, I would want to do not vegan, but raw vegan, which is even more ludicrous. But the idea of keeping the chemicals out and just eating things as they come, single ingredients, which I'm a fan of, even with the carnivore stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
The cheese that we eat is literally milk and then yeast, maybe salt. I'm eating cow bits. I'm eating, and some people go super far into the carnivore and they're like, we eat the whole animal and we make liver, mousse and we do this and we do that and all the organs. And I'm not an organ meat person.
Those are the type of people I want to push down the stairs.
But their carnivore can get very expensive.
Oh yeah. And so can vegan.
Right. Especially going out to eat.
Jesus.
But eating carnivore can get really expensive because meat's not cheap, especially if you're trying to incorporate any red meat. It gets expensive. We even buy from Costco's and we'll just buy sirloins or whatever, a better, a more entry piece of meat versus ribeye, which is what I'd get if we went out to eat somewhere. Yeah. And it gets very, even at $5 a pound, you're eating $10 a plate type deal every meal, and that it adds up very quickly. So I can understand raw vegan being more expensive, but I can also understand people who are going carnivore buying an entire animal, including organs, and making the most of it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? To try and get them, because nobody's paying anything for a liver.
No.
Or a kidney.
No, not at all. It's because what we've tried to do for this, and my wife has been vegetarian or vegan to some extent for over probably close to 2 years, I would guess. She's probably going to have to correct me on exactly how long, but trying to just, filter, because I don't want to waste, the stuff that I have that is meat or dairy based that I had bought previously. So I'm trying to kind of filter through it and eat it and, replace. And just with that little bit, like every day last week, except for one day, I was up at 4:30 and in the gym,
That's
by
good.
5. And I previous to that, and it could be placebo, whatever. Like, I'm not saying that it's not, but like previous to that, I was, I would make it to the gym in the morning like once a week. And then I was going in the evening, and going in the evening screws me up because with all the adrenaline and the energy after the gym, I'm not going to bed till fucking midnight.
I get it.
So so it, but I even feel, better just with the little bit that I've done trying to make the switch. So
yeah, I mean, the part that I brought up was, Ashley did her research, and some of the people that she had seen had skin issues or whatever, I've got eczema that flares up sometimes. And part of what she had read was there were these people with all kinds of like health issues and skin issues, and they tried this diet and their skin cleared up after like a month and they didn't have any issues. And that's something that we're seeing too, is that kind of stuff's clearing up, and without getting into the nitty gritty of bathroom talk, there should be an indication as to how efficiently your body's running off the fuel you're putting into it by how much waste there is, and how that waste enters the waste system. You know what I mean?
It's an odd conversation.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You're pooping better.
It's not just
sliding right out because of all the grease.
Well, it's not a fire hose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's funny. I don't remember whose page it was that I was on. I think it was Rogan, because Rogan is doing carnivore right now too. But Kelly Slater had commented, and Kelly Slater's vegan.
That doesn't surprise me.
But there was a full on conversation in Kelly Slater's comment about like stools and how they tell your health story or whatever. And I was amazed. I'm like, Kelly, is somebody really arguing with Kelly Slater right now about the size, color, and consistency of stools and how it relates to your health? What does random guy on Instagram know? And why the fuck are you arguing with Kelly Slater? He's a fucking surfer. What does he know?
Yeah, I was gonna make sure we covered that point too.
It shit blows my mind. How the fuck? Also, what do I have to do to get Kelly Slater to engage with me? I need the likes and the follows.
Especially for him to argue with you about poop.
Yeah, I want all of the 90s surfers listening to this podcast, and I fucking need Kelly Slater to engage with me on the Instagrams.
He was allegedly engaged or married to one of the teachers at the first high school I went to.
He's from the area, isn't he?
I think
Central Florida, I think. I don't remember.
The pottery teacher.
But I bring the Kelly Slater up because it one of the documentaries that I've watched, and when I watch documentaries about food, I take them with a grain of salt because they all have an angle. They all have yes. But I know that one of the ones I've watched recently about being vegan, I learned that like there's 15 players total on the Titans
that switched to plant-based.
They're vegan. And there were like 11 on the team last year when they made the playoffs, and they've added more since then. And I don't know that correlates to why they made the playoffs, but I think it's cool that you've got guys at a high level that are excelling at what they do,
and they have access to medical attention. Yeah. This is the documentary where they did the guys. One was a control.
Yeah. This one exact one,
and they did blood testing, and you could actually see the lack of fat in their serum.
Yep.
I watched that same documentary, and there's a strong man in there, and they're like, calling him strongest in ox, and he goes, "When's the last time you saw an ox eat meat?"
Yeah,
and like I get that, and
that's my favorite quote of that whole documentary as well.
And I'm not saying it's wrong. Yeah, I'm saying everybody's a little different. What works for some doesn't work for everybody, and if you pick and choose the pinnacle of every item, you can make it out to be anything you want it to be. Just like, to go slightly into the gray of political, it's very common in our country, if somebody commits a mass shooting and they are of Muslim faith, the people that are way off in one direction want to scream about how everybody who is Muslim is a terrorist. Or when they talk about socialism, as a for instance, the one example that they pull is Venezuela, which happens to be the worst example right now, and that is what socialism is, so it's a bad thing. And you could argue it the opposite way. Norway's socialist, and you can't really find a negative thing about the country other than it's cold, and that has nothing to do with the form of government.
Doesn't it?
Right. Because we're socialists, we're cold, we hate everybody.
The government controls the weather, though.
Right.
That's where I was
DARPA. Going. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't think that the documentary is wrong.
No.
But I think you can definitely convey a point, which is what you were saying about taking it with a grain of salt. And Michael Moore does that too with his crazy shit.
Fuck him.
You know, I can't watch those and take them seriously, but Ashley told me Sicko, I think, is one he did. Maybe it's not. There's one he does about the American healthcare system.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that I never...
Supersize Me?
No, that's Morgan Spurlock.
I know.
But there's stuff that I didn't realize was actually true. So, and we talked about this before about for-profit and not-for-profit hospitals. And for-profit hospitals will literally stop you from dying on their doorstep and then throw you out or taxi drive you down the road so you're not on property anymore so they don't have to care for you.
Yep.
And I didn't think that was real.
That's the thing.
And she's like, listen, I've worked in a bunch of hospitals through internships and externships and all this other shit. And she's like, that's the way it is in some places. And that blows my mind that anybody thinks that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, so obviously there's some truth to it, but the greatest con is to put enough sprinkling of truth in something people have to believe it.
Yep.
And then you feed them a bunch of lies. Da Vinci Code.
Yep.
You know, not that that was meant as a truthful book, but so many people read the book and believed it, everything in it to be true because there's little nuggets of truth that you can look up.
Yep. It's like 9/11. People that don't believe the government did it.
Oh God, the biggest.
There's those of us,
biggest cover up.
There's
ever.
those of us that know the government did it, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, like the moon landing.
Yeah, that was definitely. I believe the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was filmed in a studio in Hollywood.
Did the Chili Peppers say that?
I think he's got a line about it in Californication.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he does have a line about it. I don't remember the exact words.
Made in Hollywood locations.
Yeah. I'm not convinced. I've never seen the moon specifically.
You haven't? No. You want to go outside? I can show you the moon.
No, I mean I've seen that. I don't know if that's the moon. That could just be something the government's putting up there for me to see every night.
Oh God! You know what this is?
The Truman Show?
No.
Which is what I think our world actually is.
Prove it. Where's the proof?
If it was up your ass, you'd know. No, I haven't.
How do I know that's a moon rock? Prove it. It came from the moon. Prove it.
There's a small part of me that believes that I am the Truman Show come to life. So
I'm not that good of an actor.
You don't have to be though. That's the beauty of it.
Why?
Because you're legit. Some of those people were legitimately his friends.
Yeah, but they were all paid actors.
Yeah, but he
was the only one not in on it.
Yeah, but the friendships that were formed,
right,
were legitimate and real. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for you to actually enjoy my company and befriend me.
Yeah, but I would still be getting paid by a studio.
Yeah. So
you think I would complain about the stuff I complained about
off
air if I was
supposed to?
Oh Jesus, I'm committed.
Yeah.
You know what I think is
You've been doing this your whole life,
right?
They set you up for this. You've been training for this your whole life.
We're all part of the experiment.
Yeah, that's why I don't go in the water. It's not the harpoons.
That's why every time you're on the airplane, you pass out.
Yeah, is that? I do pass out every time.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Dun. Bingo, bango, bongo. There we go.
We
made it.
There's a philosophical perspective that the reader or you effectively are the only thing that actually exists, and everything exists around you because you believe it does. So when the idea is when you leave. So like when I leave here, my reality exists to me, and you and everything that's here ceases to exist until I'm involved with it again. That the theory and philosophy is only the person thinking is the one who exists, and everything, including that philosophy, exists around them because they think of it.
I wonder if we lost more listeners from this conversation.
Or the physics is fun.
No. Or the conversation earlier where we were asking random questions like we were in a relationship of some sort. Because one of the two is going to lose us some listeners.
Well, we're over an hour, so I don't know that anyone's actually made it this far.
No, maybe like two people. Probably like my wife and
because nobody has said
mom.
anything about the Buttholes of Africa calendar, and that was at the last 10 minutes of another show.
It's true.
So I don't think anyone's making it that far.
It's a good possibility. According to Apple, they're not.
Does Apple show you specifically a show?
Not specifically, but you can surmise from there.
When we have 12 minutes of average engagement?
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. We'll have 13 minutes one of these days.
Maybe.
All right, buddy. Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right.
We'll catch you guys next week. Until then, don't do anything crazy. We love you. Peace out.